Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Ohio, also called the Buckeye State. Interestingly enough. Yeah, so there's a couple things. Ohio apparently comes from an Iroquoian word, so a Native American word, Ohio, which apparently means good river or great river. So it is in reference to the Ohio River, which is pretty important over there in that part of the United States. It runs along the borders of Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Indiana. So it was named after the Ohio River there when it gained statehood. So why is it called the Buckeye State? Well, the Buckeye State, they have a tree that they refer to as the Ohio Buckeye. And it has a nut that apparently resembles the eye of a deer. So male deer is a buck. It looks like the eye of the deer, so it's called the Buckeye. And because the state has so many of these trees, it's called the Buckeye State. So there you go. Now, Ohio was admitted to the Union March 1st, 1803, making it the 17th state to join the Union. Its capital is Columbus, population 11,780,017 roughly, making it the 7th most populous state, interestingly enough. I didn't realize that Ohio was that high up in the terms of population. 44,825 square miles, or 116,096 kilometers squared, making it the 34th largest state. So it's up there in population, not so much in terms of area. Largest cities: Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Toledo. So original exploration and colonization started by the French in the 17th century. Robert Chevalier de la Salle, I believe is how you pronounce that. He was one of the first European settlers, explorers to come into the region, and so the French started establishing forts and trading posts, but then the French and Indian War happened, in which they lost to the British. So the British then took over in the 18th century. Then the Northwest Territory was ceded to the United States after the American Revolution, and Ohio became the first state to be created from what they called the Northwest Territory that used to belong to the British. So that came in 1803. Then we have the American Civil War. Now, Ohio was pretty prominent during the American Civil War, or during the abolitionist movement leading up to the Civil War. John Brown was part of the abolitionist movement and was active in the state. They were crucial in the Underground Railroad that was helping escaped slaves flee to the north. And they contributed a very large number of troops to the Union cause during the Civil War. Now, as far as I know, nothing was fought that far north during the Civil War, so there you go. But they did contribute quite a bit to both the abolitionist movement to begin with, and then the American Civil War secondly. Not secondarily. It was still a huge thing for both the United States and for the Civil War and all that stuff. So then, basically, after that, they concentrated on industrialization and expansion of their economy. So we have the Wright brothers. They developed their airplane and things in Dayton, Ohio. It was flown in Kitty Hawk, but the Wright brothers had a bicycle shop in. It's really weird. Apparently, so I was looking into the Wright brothers because they came up because of Dayton, Ohio. So I was looking into it, and apparently a lot of the early aviators had bike shops. It's really weird. But it was not uncommon for a person running a bike shop to also be experimenting with flight. So yeah. Thomas Edison, Menlo Park, which is now Milan, Ohio. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Ohio. It has also been a swing state in presidential elections. They sometimes call Ohio the mother of presidents. Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield, William McKinley, and Warren G. Harding were all from Ohio. So they have since diversified their economy. A lot of the early states were very agrarian in their economy. And they since have branched out into other sectors to diversify that. Moving on. So geography and climate. It's highly influenced by the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes region, it's right there on Lake Erie. And it's part of the Appalachian Plateau. So the eastern and southeastern part of the state are part of that Appalachian Plateau. So there's, it's not the Rockies. It's the Appalachian Mountain Range. It's an much older mountain range than, say, the Rockies. So they're much more eroded. But it does then make the terrain fairly rugged. And then they have the central lowlands. A lot of flat, fertile farmland in that central area out towards the west. The west kind of, they do kind of have a western area of the state, but it's pretty flat out there as well. They have some of the bigger industrial urban centers out towards the west, but there you go. The climate is a humid continental climate. The summers are average between, they range between the mid 80s to the low 90s in Fahrenheit, which is 27 to 35 degrees Celsius, and the humidity levels are awful. So, winter, they have temperatures that range from the mid-20s to the low 30s, which is -4 to 1 degree Celsius. Snowfall is pretty common during those winter months. And it particularly hits hard in the northern and the eastern part of the state, which is right there by the Great Lakes, which, again, it makes sense that it's there because that's where they're getting that lake effect that actually increases the snow yield. Spring, rain is pretty moderate there in spring, and then they have autumn. The temperatures are roughly similar, with 60s to 70s, which is 15 to 26, but they kind of go in the opposite direction. So in spring, it gets into the warmer, and in the fall, it goes the other way. They're fairly, as I said, they're in a humid continental climate, so they're getting quite a bit of precipitation. Not the most in the United States, but the wettest months generally fall between April and July, but it's fairly evenly distributed across the states, slightly higher up towards the Great Lakes area. They do get occasional tornadoes in the spring and early summer. Okay, industry. So this is the first state that I've researched for this particular project of mine that actually tourism isn't even in the top 10 that I found. So they have manufacturing, healthcare, agriculture, technology and IT, financial services, education, energy, transportation, logistics, and automotive. it isn't until you get like past the top 10 that tourism is a part of the state's, top industry, or top industries in the state. So it's interesting. Ohio, apparently they do have tourism, and we'll cover that as we always do, but it's not a particularly large part of the state's economy, and at least from what I can see. There might be other sources that dispute that, but in the manufacturing, you have a lot of the car companies, because this kind of overlaps. So we have General Motors, Ford, Honda, Procter & Gamble, AK Steel, Whirlpool, Goodyear Tire and Rubber. In healthcare, Cleveland Clinic, University Hospital Health Systems, ProMedica, Ohio Health, Mercy Health. In the agriculture, the Andersons Inc. Apparently it's an agribusiness company. Cooper Farms, Trillium Farms, Kalmbach Fields, Gerber's Poultry. Excuse me. In technology and IT, Battelle Memorial Institute, Cardinal Health, JP Morgan Chase, Vertiv. Interesting that it's kind of in the Veeam Software, Progressive. Some of these are Highland Software. Some of these are kind of, they're so big that they do a lot of stuff. So there you go. In financial, Fifth Third Bank, KeyCorp, Huntington Bank Shares, Western and Southern Financial Group, Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company. Education, Ohio Department of Education, Ohio State University, also called the Buckeyes. University of Cincinnati, Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland State University. Education, First Energy Corp, American Electric Power, Duke Energy Ohio, Vectron Energy Delivery. In transportation and logistics, FedEx Ground, XPO Logistics, R&L Carriers, Dayton Freight Lines, Total Quality Logistics, and then in automotive, we already covered some of that with General Motors, with Ford, Honda, FCA US, part of Stellantis, Tenneco. These are just some of those that are operating and based there in the state. So for the tourism, they do have the typical outdoor activities with like the national parks, Lake Erie. They have, boating, swimming, hiking, biking, fishing, all that stuff. So they have those typical activities. But we also have Cedar Point, which apparently is a very well-respected and renowned amusement park in the United States. I've heard of Cedar Point. I can't say that I really cared about Cedar Point at any point in my life, but I've heard about it. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland. We have the Pro Football Hall of Fame located in Canton, Ohio. There's Amish country in Ohio, so if you wanted to, get some handcrafted merchandise, that's where you're going to go. They also have Kings Island, which is another amusement park there in Ohio. And then, as I said, Lake Erie. They also have a lot of national parks, like the Dayton Aviation Heritage National Historic Park, Cuyahoga Valley National Park, the Wilds, let's see, where was it? Hocking Hills State Park. So if you're looking for any of that kind of stuff, there you go. Go to Ohio. Okay. This is, as I've mentioned before, my favorite part is looking into the weird stuff that each state has decided is the norm there, I guess. So it is illegal to catch a fish with your bare hands or use any device other than a fishing pole or line. I'm not entirely sure why. The speculation is that it keeps people from depleting the fishing population using unconventional methods. So I guess like dynamite. But yeah, so If you're going to go fishing in Ohio, don't you dare use your hands to pull that fish out of the water without, hooking it on the line and reeling it in first. It is illegal to duct tape a woman's jaw in order to keep her from screaming or making noise. Why they had to make this a law, I have no idea. They do have a caveat, though. There is an exception for this rule. I shouldn't say caveat. I should say exception. They have an exception. That exception is if it is a medical necessity, it's fine. So apparently somebody thought about that and was like, criminals shouldn't be allowed to do it, but doctors might need to, so we're going to write it into the law that you can't do this, except if you're a doctor and it's a medical necessity. I mean, come on. This should not even be a thing. It is illegal to cross-dress in public in Ohio, although obviously that law is not going to be applied, but it's there. You cannot fish for salmon in Ohio rivers. The thing is that they don't get salmon in Ohio, so apparently they just decided that they would enact a law based on something that you can't do. What other states have those anti-whaling laws? Seriously. Youngstown, Ohio. You cannot play any game at all, in the street unless it's a traditional game like hopscotch or marbles. So, Pokemon Go? No. It has to be marbles or hopscotch or something of that nature. Apparently they don't want traffic to be disrupted. Women are forbidden to wear patent leather shoes in Columbus, Ohio. I don't know. Seriously, I mean, why wouldn't you? You cannot operate an elephant on the city street for the purpose of entertainment. Seriously. The law is, I'm operating my elephant, but it's not for entertainment, so it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. And the South Euclid, Ohio, you can't put a donkey in a bathtub. Seriously, sometimes the laws. What I need to do is do a comparison between the weirdest laws in the United States and the weirdest laws in the rest of the world. Okay. Cincinnati-style chili. This sounds completely disgusting to me. Apparently they have Cincinnati-style chili. It's served over spaghetti and then then topped with shredded cheddar cheese and onions. This may be white cheddar, but yeah. Chili, and they spell it with an I, so I'm not entirely sure if this is chili or chili. So, chili is a dish with beans, meat, and it's spicy. It's not typically considered an Italian food. It's more considered a Mexican food, and so they pour it on spaghetti. Sounds so awful to me. So awful. Although, maybe. No. Never mind. No. Okay. The Cleveland Browns. Now, it's kind of interesting. The Cleveland Browns is a National Football League team based there in Cleveland, and apparently they're diehard fans. And they are dedicated to the Cleveland Browns, but the Cleveland Browns suck as a team. They're really bad. Okay. The Serpent Mound. Adams County, Ohio, they have a mound that's shaped like a serpent, coiled tail. The indigenous people built it over 1,000 years ago. They're not entirely sure what the significance of it was, whether it was cultural, historic, religious, but they have the Serpent Mound. The Glowing Green Swamp. Apparently, the Mohican State Park in Ohio, in the late spring and early summer, the Clear Fork Gorge starts glowing green. So apparently it's reflection of the sunlight and the minerals and algae in the water make it glow, look like a green glow. Yeah. In, let's see, where, Yale, Ohio, they have a bologna festival. Yes, bologna, but spelled Bologna. So if you're unfamiliar with bologna, bologna is an American mortadella is what it's trying to be, and mortadella is delicious. Bologna is not. Bologna is pretty disgusting. Mortadella is the traditional Italian meat, and like I said, it's delicious. Bologna is trying to be mortadella, and it's not. It's named after Bologna in Italy. But yeah, they have a festival in Yale, Ohio. They do a bologna toss, bologna eating contest, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, Philo Beddoe statue. In Wilmington, Ohio, they have a statue dedicated to Philo Beddoe. Philo Beddoe was played by Clint Eastwood in the movie Every Which Way But Loose. So yeah, there's basically a statue of Clint Eastwood, but it's called Philo Beddoe. Yeah. And then they have Spook Hill. Spook Hill being the Gravity Hill of Ohio. It's in Adams County, and it apparently cars roll uphill on this particular hill. But yeah, there's a number of these in the United States. I think they've got them other places in the world, but yeah, they're pretty proud of them in places around the U.S. So that's it for today. Let me know if you've been to Ohio. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if I got anything wrong. Comments are open. Like, subscribe, put the bell on so you get notified when I release more content. And until next time.